All right. We're going to do some more, I guess, as the boys continue to just hang out and learn all the lore that they can take advantage of when I'm sober, and then be like, yo, wait, DM, you said this on video. You can't take it back now. Uh,
Don't worry, I won't remember any of this.
no, not at all. Okay.
I will.
All right, what do we got for the next one?
The crystal.
So the crystal is a weird being. If I remember right, the crystal is a dragon-born, semi-non-dragon thing. So, in a weird way, the crystal was supposedly some sort of giant creature that they found stuck in the crust that they thought was a dragon. It's actually what ended up enslaving Toutler, as a little crystal gecko when they smashed it onto Toutler's head. If you haven't watched Time Fucker, or if you weren't there for Time Fuckers, I'm sorry. We don't have
Oh
recordings
god,
for it.
don't remind me of the crystal gecko. It almost got me.
But technically, there's no known fact on where the fuck that god came from. What was the name again?
The crystal.
Yeah, so the crystal would be on the same ranking here, but they do count as a gray, as no one knows who they are, and what they were. They weren't a true god because they didn't represent anything. They were just a being of power that just was there and ended up getting awakened at one point by accident.
The category should be just question marks.
Yeah, it kind of is. These people are, it's like, we don't know how they gained their god power. They just did because people worshipped it enough. Or they had power.
Like the spaghetti monster.
This makes a weird lore inflection because at the time when I made Terra, you told me, because I didn't read it, 'cause I didn't think to check. You said the crystal was the Tabaxi, so the crystal's the one that cursed Terra, even though it was supposed to be the Tabaxi god.
Yeah, listen, because Cameron can attest to this. I've mixed those two up since Time Fuckers. Yeah.
No, it's fine. So in lore,
Yes.
she was cursed by a little crystal gecko.
Yes.
Yes.
Because,
And,
yeah.
In
reading it
lore,
over
talking
here-
talking to the crystal is a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah, the crystal is, wait. No, I am wrong. No, you were right, Chaston. I have those two mixed up. Nope.
Oh, the crystal's the Tabaxi? Okay.
Yes. So this is crystal. And so that I have to fix. Well, no, because that is still correct, because I just mixed up the names. And this would be the lucky. So, okay. In my God's Realms, I talk about this. The crystal is an ancient tabaxi. It's immediately say it right here, what their whole thing is. They talk about how they went there and they were looking for red lyrium, or they ended up finding red lyrium, and that's what ended up cursing them. Now, we'll be changing that because of... I don't want to have BioWare mad at me. So, no, BioWare, this is just a working title. I like your idea of magical dust, which is not and cannot be patented if I name this magical dust, and that's what it will be changed to. I am not making money off this currently.
I want to say this. There's also the option of just calling it the magic cocaine.
I mean, yeah, I just used that as an idea because when I was working on this, BioWare gave me massive inspiration as one of my first games, and that's actually what got me into game design. So, as I've talked about,
The whole question is the company that owns BioWare still in business?
Yes, here it is. A god known to the world as an individual with 1,000 faces. So we didn't know who the Lucky is. There's no known original thing of it. There's talks about it, but there's not anything specific. So
Next god is Cernan.
is who?
I don't know if President is Cernan, Cernun.
C-E-R.
Sermon.
C-E-R.
N-U-N. Like a nun.
Cernan. Yes. Cernan, yes. This would be the other god that wasn't, the High King, the old High King's personality. Someone with an original concept, if you will. Cernan was a goddess of fertility. I believe, and this is basically, they were a god that people started worshiping because they had a lot of children.
Nice.
So, Cernan,
She was able to fuck.
yeah, she's a demigod, but she doesn't fall under anything, because she's a god of who's created by her own race. However, the dwarves are credited to Stone the Corrupt as his creation, which isn't actually true, and I'll get into that in a different video. He never technically created a race.
He just took the credit for creating
Yeah,
race.
technically, if in my lore, and what will get talked about a bit more later is Ella Ugbao is plays a lot larger of a part. I haven't really gotten to expand on, but she creates the dwarves because Stone doesn't. It's kind of like when you toss your management duties onto one of your top employees. Think of it like that. But yeah, so Cernan is a god. She is independent. However, she does fall under the same pantheon as Stone the Corrupt and his multi-personalities. So we will actually put her under that because she is stuck with them. She would not have power without Stone the Corrupt's existence. Which is also kind of how I'm basing this. As you're looking at these colors, if the person at the top suddenly lost their power, none of the people matching their color would have any power. So that's kind of the idea.
Except for, I'm guessing, true divinity ones.
True gods and those who are independent who would not,
would be spared.
Next we have Nyx Riversong.
So Nyx is Stone's son. However, interestingly enough, he's not that strong. People credit him because he was able to do basically genocide a race. But what people don't realize is that Stone was extremely good at that as well. So his son took after him a lot. Nyx is the god of balance in my world, or was until he was dethroned. And he is the direct son, supposedly, or rumored to be, he is the son, supposedly, of Stone and Bertha. But it is actually not confirmed because conflicting lore in my world, and I did this on purpose, some accounts name that Nyx was created before Bertha, others do not. So there is no confirmation overall.
Then we have Grom.
Grom. Oh, yes. Grom is one of... another god similar to Nyx. He actually had a lot of power. He gave it up. He didn't want to be under his father. And same with the next one Justin's going to mention here in a second, who is not Hastur, because it's the it's the third-born son, as Hastur was the youngest. Grom was actually stronger than Nyx. He was considered the mountain. He is actually commented to be the supposed founder of the Dwarven kingdom and the Dwarven bloodline of the House of Stone. However, there's no proof that he actually ever aired any children, and he just disappeared one day. He has been found in campaign. He just told the party to leave, and they just left because they didn't want to deal with him. He exudes a lot of divine power. He is actually, though, a arcane caster.
I remember us meeting him, and I even said, okay, we're not messing with him for two reasons. One, he's old. He doesn't give a fuck if he dies. Two,
Should have fought him nobles.
he's got a lot of magic.
Yeah, he didn't. He was who they were seeking out at first to kill Stone, which fair fact that would have actually worked. He's probably the best chance you had for of the family line. But all right, what's the next one?
Aethelwulf.
Aethelwulf, yes. So another guy. So Aethelwulf, and I'm gonna spell this wrong. I guarantee it. Cheston, can you spell it?
Yeah, ATH EL, and then just wolf.
Yeah. Yeah, so Aethelwulf, you actually had it right, is the third-born of supposedly Bertha and Stone, and like Grom, didn't want the power. His power, though, he was a sorcerer wizard. His casting capabilities, though, he is the first to create a 13th level spell, and is generally considered the god of magic. However, he does not actually have any divinity, which is one of the reasons why he kind of goes with his brother and just leaves Stone. And your next one is going to be Hastur, I'm going to assume.
It is, yeah.
It's amazing how much of this lore I remember, even when stoned. So Hastur was a god who got bitch slapped by the Pope, and basically got forced to, or got killed, basically decapitated in front of everyone. He is a god of death. He was given his father's old post. And then he immediately lost it after being decapitated, and then a gay, sassy man showed up and took his old throne, and basically he had no chance to revive after that. But he is the confirmed son of Bertha and Stone, and that is also why he is actually really kind of weak. Nyx had a lot more capabilities with his ranger levels. Hastur had nothing. He was a god of death, and that was it. He couldn't really do anything, and as like I said, he got beaten by Immortal after he disobeyed. So yeah,
He got bitch slapped by a fucking bard.
We have our next thing that does not quite human in nature, the heart tree.
Ah, yes, the heart tree. You guys met what it becomes in another dimension. That's what. So the dimension of the druids. A little known story I haven't talked about much. So in the very beginning of my lore of Incremia, it talks a lot about how the elves were, even in that world, were really bloodthirsty and like warlike race who gave almost all the other races a run for their money. Yes, I hate elves, but I also look at elves as people who, with all the abilities they've got, why wouldn't they, try and slave everyone and take over? It makes no sense not to, given high fantasy. Anyways, but so basically, they, in one multiverse, do manage to do so, and that's where we get that massive heart tree that we see. In this case, well, they eventually get beaten down pretty bad. Their tree is technically a primordial because it does technically fall under the category of a like nature-based. It's like it only gains its divinity because of where it was kind of put into the ground, as they would later find out one of the crystals. Because believe it or not, the primordial's goddess's death is what kind of fuels the Incremian crystal industry. What they are farming is the remains of her magic stuck in the world. So she would, or the heart tree wouldn't actually be considered technically to be divine by any ranking. They would be considered a demigod, sort of, but not having any real power in the main timeline.
However, in the Druidic timeline, it is the most powerful fucking thing.
It was the only being there.
And I have absorbed this being.
And finally, for this age, we have Zelm.
Yes. The last of the 12 lords to be alive. Zelm is not a god by any technicality, but he did have a power, we'll call it, and he was technically considered a true god by canon. So I'm gonna put him, because Zelm was managed to get up to the highest ranking without his twin brother. He is a true god. Zelm is actually technically the true god of continued time. Which means that his actual divinity comes from the fact that time has to continue to move. And that's what he kind of built himself off of. That's also why everyone assumed he was Zilpip, is because Zilpip and Zelm use very similar time magic. And as I did confirm later to Wolf, Zelm is Zilpip in a dimension where Zilpip was born in the first age, or in the first age, and that he was raised as a kind-hearted human, or gnome. However,
raised as a kind-hearted mortal.
Yeah, and that would create him, and eventually he would become one of the first of the 12 lords, technically.
Age of Expansion, we have Woden.
Woden, a god. Well, he's a god we're in here for. So the Forbidden God is as I like to call him. He is a tyrannical, batshit crazy, cruel warlord. He is everything Alfred wished he could be without any of the power.
So I was about to say,
he is an
ever heard of Stone Jr.?
Yeah. He's not a god. He's worshipped. His memory is worshipped. But he would be more accounted to as a demon, I guess. Because his powers is technically fiendish. So I guess in a way, I mean, I'm gonna call this
that fall under independent, I'd say.
Yeah, because
independent doesn't have to go one way or another.
He is a god. He does have godly capabilities, but he is a fiend. So his power is technically not accurate in any way. So yeah, basically I fooled everyone into thinking I'm a god is pretty good way to describe him. He was just so fucking cruel.
Again, false divinity.
Yeah.
Next is Saya.
Saya. Let's see. Yes, the goddess of war. Woden's wife. So...
The one with the actual fucking power.
Nope. Saya technically does not have power. But Saya does technically count as a true god. She is a god. And it says a goddess of war. That's not accurate. Her god title is actually the goddess of torment. Due to mistranslations in the lore and what it talks about this, and I'll eventually go into this, Saya's goddesshood became a thing of like every woman who has to suffer with a very a powerful
Shitty
like,
husband.
Yeah. She's technically an independent god that ends up getting created because of this, and later gets recognized as a goddess of war because of the fact of how she overcomes her husband. And this will get talked about more in the lore.
She beats the fuck out of him. Got it.
I mean, there's a quick statement right here that kind of tells you exactly what she may have done.
Yeah, I saw that. Why do you think I said that?
Yeah. What's up? All right, what's next?
I don't know if it's tearing or tearing, but it's a tearing princess. I'd have to assume.
Oh, tearing princess. Yes.
It is tearing.
So she is the only one who would be birthed from the Lady of Time. She's technically we'll call this time gods. And the reason I'm calling this specifically towards the time gods is those who are descendants of the. Well, I guess it'd probably be the lady's descendants would be a better way of describing it.
I would have said I'm a children of time, but okay.
No, because there's gods of like Zelm who are kind of very specific in that situation. So do we have? We don't have purple. Cool, we're gonna go with that. So yeah, Lady of Time, and then the Tearing Princess is given power after some really dark shit that happens with her story. Like any god, in my world, you don't gain divinity in a kind way is a good way to look at it.
It fucking sucks to gain any form of divinity.
Yeah.
It will hurt and you will cry.
Yes.
That is your life.
But that would be about it. Okay, what do you got next?
Dericus, the first Titan.
Ooh.
The first Titan. Let me look it up. Is this it's a changeling god? I don't remember writing this, but that makes sense. I mean, the changelings I didn't think had gods, but if I remember right.
Well, you gave him one, apparently.
No, actual religion. What's written in here? It's Titan.
Beast and be Titan of the elements.
His name is Dericus. I don't know.
How is it spelled?
Stercus.
Stercus.
To be fair, Titan's a pretty common word.
Okay, so Stercus is based on the first Titan. So it's a god created by Stone after he came into power and he was fucking around to see what he could make.
The fuck around and find out god.
Yeah, so technically, it's that Titan was a race in my world for a very short time. That's a mix of giant and like a Goliath. That's like Titan is like that middle ground between the two. However, all they gained was the giant size and the Goliath stupidity is the kind of the general joke about them, which is why they're not a living race anymore. Stercus isn't a very strong god, by all accounts. I think he would eventually become a minor god of something, in here.
Minor god of strength?
No, yeah, he falls under the Risen, so he ends up falling under Calfell eventually as a god, but technically he is a creation of stones. It's a weird kind of like setup. While he serves him, that's because Calfell serves stone. So yeah, we're gonna still label him as that purple. There we go. All right.
Ugin the Spirit Dragon.
Yeah.
More dragons.
Yeah, he's you're not gonna be excited of this. Ugin is Ugin.
Ugin.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a dead dragon. He's a ghost dragon. He is a dragon that tried to become a lich that became a spirit. He is technically a descendant. He did create his own race of spirit dragons, but they can't exist in the mortal plane. What you saw when you're in the Astral Sea, the draconic-looking creatures, those are his descendants.
I also have to say this. He fucked around and he found out. Not my fault.
Yeah.
What about the ghost dragon in Noventium? Different?
Different race, yes.
Different? Okay.
That's someone who is a dragon who died and would get their spirits trapped there. Ugin similar in the concept, but not of Ugin's loins specifically.
Yeah, with Ugin's, his body wouldn't have been able to materialize at all in the physical plane. Therefore, he would be.
Next is Gravelord Nito or Naito.
Yes. Minor god of death that Stone created.
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna find this is a very common theme.
Yeah.
Nito was not very powerful. He is the Grave Lord. He is a god that is basically the god of the grave. So he's not god of death. He's not cool. He's just the gravestones you put up. That's what he's in charge of.
Nice.
Yeah, he makes sure you stay in that hole. In the hole. That's about it. I mean, there's not much else.
Poor bastard. Right.
Yeah, he's been met. He was killed almost immediately by I think one of the parties.
Damn. Guys, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's not very high. He's about in the same ranking as Sturkis of what would be considered demigod here. We'll call
I'm
it.
gonna have to dip for a
You're good.
second because someone ruled to have a fucking vision and god fucking damn it. Kid.
Okay. No worries.
Next is Ashamar.
Ah, yes. So this is where an interesting thing is found out. All of those orc gods are primordial gods. What's not known about them is the fact that they're basically all creatures that in the first age swallowed pieces of the primordial goddess that were scattered across the earth and just started to grow piece by piece. Technically, the crystal was kind of in the same sense, is like, that idea of that growing thing as they gained power, as they basically sat there. Remind me of the name again?
Ashamar?
Yes. So Ashamar would be ranked roughly, I would say, probably up around here-ish, along with all the other Red Orc gods. And I'm just going to put a paraphrase of that. All Red Orc primordial gods. And that just basically means not people who've become gods in the timeline. So...
Yeah. Next is Terra's best friend, the Spittian Queen.
Ah, yes, the woman created out of anger. She is a elf. She is a descendant, technically, of the Lady of Time, so she would fall under her tree, although she has nothing to do with her. The Spittian Queen is ranked roughly at the same rank as Aethelwulf, and she is the goddess of revenge, technically. Because her whole thing... She really hates the man who just left here a minute ago's character, as we all know, the famous Vinz Orwin.
You think they'd be friends with Bastion?
Yes.
Yeah. Arden Wrathhammer is our next.
Our first orc god. So, if I remember right, orcs in my world are technically part of the ogre tree. Which also is a thing. What was his name again? I know it's Ardhammer, but what was the full name?
Arden Wrathhammer.
Arden Wrathhammer. So Arden Wrathhammer and his twin, as we'll say here in a minute, neither of them are actually gods. They are just really fucking powerful warriors who gained a lot of notoriety in the Orc lands, and that was it.
And then his, I'm guessing, twin, Aridin Warclaw.
Also, technically... these guys actually were the same person. This was a split personality of a guy that didn't know he had a split personality. Because there's basically Arden and Aridin. The only difference between these two people is the fact that one's a green orc and one's a black orc. However, to note, there wasn't a difference at this time period between the orcs that was enough to tell the difference between green and black. It was up to the individual. It was like a grayish green at that time period. So, technically, yeah. All right.
Now we get into a short list of gods who don't quite have names, more titles. First we have the Hammer.
Oh, yes. These are the adventuring gods. And then we'll also have the skill check gods. So these...
is this like before they got their names? Because they
yeah,
have
that's
names.
what their title is. There's here. Let me pull it up here.
So I'm guessing the Hammer, Sasha, the Elder, Dexter.
Yes, these people are the Church of Adventurers. So these are the people who would eventually create the class system that we know in my D&D world. Yes, in my D&D world, the class system of how adventurers choose their class is an actual thing that people understand and know. So the entirety of the Adventuring Church is considered an independent power. They don't have any descendants beyond their own position, unfortunately, in the world. And I would roughly put them around ranking of a demigod-ish. However, at the same time, due to the fact that they do actually still to this day get worshipped, I'm going to put the Church of Adventurers here for right now.
So I can, since you're putting the church, do you want me to ignore the other 5?
Yes.
Of them.
Yes.
Okay. Then Ventia.
What was it?
Ventia. I think this is the next 7 should be the children of the High Queen, her daughters.
It probably
Because
is.
I remember Flemma, the fire chick that we met.
Yep. They're the daughters. Flemma, Unad, Saxu, Vitama, Funu, Folgu.
Yep.
Yep. So all of them do fall under her, which by default it means that they do fall under Stone the Corrupt. So we'll just insert these. We will clear that real quick. And her daughters actually had some pretty fucking power, pretty dangerous power to them because they were the gods of elements.
I felt bad. We got a mission from the fire chick, and then we just never did it because we didn't want to kill Bastion.
Yeah, that's fair. Insert.
I regret.
Do that. No, yeah. I mean, at the same time, I think you guys made the right decision for that.
I regret it now.
That's fair. The 7 elemental daughters.
You have Ashimar in here again in a new age.
Yeah, because he reborns himself a few times. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Give me a second.
Helm, or Helmies.
There we go. You guys wanted this ranking sheet? This Excel sheet's gonna be fucking long.
That's fine.
Sorry. So what was the name?
We wanted the Helmies.
Helmies. Spell it.
Helmes. It's just Hermes with an L.
Okay. Oh yeah, he's one of the. Okay, so that's gonna be one of the Red Orc gods. So Helmes, Ashimar, Valdun, Krasmar, Gemlin, Belmonu, Yezgmar are all considered under all Red Orc primordial gods. These are the primordial Red Orc gods to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we get into Age of the White Dove. We have a god just called Heli. He is named after a race. There is nothing else written. It just says Heli.
Oh, page 48. Okay. Oh, the goddess of the sea. Oh yeah, she's a god. So the Hill Dwarves didn't know the Heli existed, so they named the goddess Heli. So,
Damn it.
Yeah. She is technically a god, but not technically a god. She's a god of the safe sea travel, so she's really low in the ranking. But she is a dwarven god, which again ranks her under Stone the Corrupt's house, unfortunately.
You know, if we get to that age, Hunter's going to run under this chick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Heli was such a sweet god as far as who it is. Cause that was her whole thing. So her worship actually starts in the city that got destroyed that you guys were in during when the tree showed up. That city is where her birthplace.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she became a god for sailors there.
Then we have Yoruba.
Yoruba. How do you spell it?
Yoruba.
Yoruba. Oh, he's a Nothies god, which I haven't actually really put where they're gonna be in my world, but that's fair. So this is the primordial version, or these are the earlier version of the Nords, the really advanced Arabic styled nation.
Yeah.
Yoruba is a god of war. He is a So he is technically a starter of his own pantheon. However, he's a demigod when he gains his power. I don't know how to rank him. Because technically, we're in the current timeline, he's actually a decent rank. But he would be more... Also, I'm moving this all the way over there.
If you don't know how to rank him, the next guy you talked about before, at least to me, so I think you know how to rank him. Because your next one is Eshu.
Let me.
Which I think we had a whole talk about the god of trickery.
No, I gotta. I guess technically the Nothies would found their own pantheon because they're not a god that would gain anything. He would be a god of war. That was his true divinity. But he was a very low ranking god as far as it goes. So this would be demigod. Let me. There is a way, and I've just got to find it in here. Oh, there it is. Freeze. Column 1. Thank you. Let's go over here. So, yeah, he is he would count as a demigod of war. He would become a true god of war. There are many. You can be basically many people can become the same domain. It just depends on if you're worshipped enough in your own lands. So he would technically. He himself would create the first domain of war as a full domain for himself in Incremia. What's the next one?
And that was Yoruba that you were just writing in?
Yes.
Okay, Eshu.
Eshu, yeah. So, and then from Eshu would become, or from Yoruba would become his own house of gods. So we'll do Yoruba's chosen is what would be the ranking. We'll make them orange. Why not? And we will start by inserting a row here. Yes, I can insert plenty, but... so the next one is the god of tricks. He is, like Yoruba, not very strong. But he is a god still, Eshu, and would gain...
Or he's what, only one facet of like 3 other gods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a very strong god, but he tried.
He had a lot of titles, and people that people thought were separate gods that weren't.
Yeah. Is the next one Bumba and then Stranger?
Stranger is next. Bumba's in the next age.
Okay. Well, I'll do both of them since I'm right here real quick. It'll make it easier. Because they're both right there. Alright, so... for the next one, the Stranger is actually one of the scarier gods in my world. He's actually extremely powerful, as he gains a notable position of death, and almost becomes death itself in Incremia, through some specifics that we'll get into the lore later of. But yes, so he would do pretty well. Bumba...
is Bumba.
is a god that's really not that great, but does surprisingly rank above a demigod. So
Good for him.
you know, there you go. And I won't put it directly under because I feel like that. Actually, we're just gonna move it over one. There we go to kind of keep that whole thing. I'll eventually like smooth these around to make it cleaner, but yeah.
And those 3 were covered. Next is Ferul the Deceit.
Ferul.
I have returned. Missed so much in forming back.
No, you're good.
We're in the wintered age now.
That's
Ferul.
fine.
Oh, god of deceit. Yes, another god that wouldn't be created by stone at least this time. He would actually be created by Kelfel as one of Kelfel's first demigods. So he is the first bard to ever master deceit. And by master it, I mean he managed to achieve over an 80 in deceit.
Deception god, nice.
Yep. You know what all he did with his existence?
Fuck all.
Yep. And as
what I'm hearing, if that's all it takes to be a god, if I get enough of the Locket mustaches, I can become a god of performance as the Echo.
Theoretically, yeah.
Hey, then you can do fuck all with your existence there.
I'll just dance as a giant dragonborn thing.
No, that's fair, yeah. I actually, here, one thing I'm going to do, because this is going to bother me otherwise.
This next one makes me think of Santa Claus.
I can't tell Chasten this now since he wants to join the game if any of the other players are out. God damn it.
I'll say only.
What do you got
tell
for me?
Nicol Bolas. I just think of Santa Claus.
How's it spelled?
Nicol. It could be Nicole.
Okay, it is only in there, which means it's probably an old god. Oh! Another bard god.
Nice.
God of
Winter Days
attraction.
Bard.
Yes.
So Winter Days. bards.
Other god that was created by Calfell, because Calfell likes bards. Wouldn't have guessed, would you? By his
Why not?
very loving.
Yeah, Grumpy, that just happened.
All right. With all the god fucking and gods fucking wars, I've decided my character versus I will fuck at least one god before the campaign ends. Goal. Male, female doesn't matter.
Fair, you know. Well, at least you're open to all. I mean, that's really all you can ask for.
So
all right.
Hey.
The bard.
Then Zoroark was open to all as well. He almost became a god of lust.
True.
Give it to him. Come on.
All right. Well, we are at our limit for this episode. We will give us a minute, and we will come back momentarily for the next one. But the DM has to run to the restroom.